what is it called? Notebook? Is that what it's called? What? No. What appears to be a cult but is not a cult? Let me get it out. It's stuck. Okay. I completely forgot this. Hey guys, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Courtney and I am a homeschool mama to 2 boys. And we have been homeschooling for, this will be our 2nd year. We homeschooled for, last year was our preschool homeschool. And we also did a little bit prior to that in the summer, and my son absolutely enjoyed it. And that summer time frame gave me a wonderful foundation to know what worked for my son and what didn't. And I learned that, well, he loves learning through books, which most young children do, and he just loves to be read to. And so that has really steered the type of curriculum that I have chosen for last year, his preschool year, and this year for his pre-kinder. We are really literature based, and we are learning through rich literature, wonderful books. I think that boring textbooks can leave, and we're going to focus on these wonderful literature filled books. And so with that said, why don't we jump in? I'm going to give you just a quick overview of the curriculum I have chosen, and then we will walk through and I'll show you some of what we have. So this is just, I printed this out. I do my planning in what is it called? Notebook? Is that what it's called? Okay, so I do my planning in there, and maybe that's a video in and of itself to just show how I plan for his current year. And so maybe that's a video in and of itself where I can show you how I plan for my son's current year, his next year, and then far into the future. And so I use that, and so I just printed this off. And this is generally what we cover. So I do have, so that's what I'm looking at if you see me looking down. So I do have a morning time, again, cultish, right? What's a cult but not a cult? What appears to be a cult but is not a cult? Morning time, right? Morning basket. I also tend to just call it Bible time. We refer to that just as kind of like our warming up time. We do our schooling in the morning when the boys are fresh, sitting at the table, food in their hands. And so morning time, Bible time, morning basket, whatever you want to call it, that is just kind of what we use to just kind of get the juices flowing. So like a wonderful time to kind of cover smaller kind of subjects that really aren't subjects in and of themselves, but these are things you want to kind of include. A lot of times that's why you'll see like read alouds and hymns and poems and stuff like that. So morning time is what I'll refer to it. And then we also have our section of Bible, and then we do have history, Bible, literature, because we have done Sunlight this year. And then I do have science, math, and then we do have language arts, reading, phonics. That's another area that I have grouped. And then I do have writing as well as specials. And so that's kind of just a snapshot of what you will see, the subjects I will cover in this video. And then there will be more videos coming out where I can kind of go into more detail of some of these curriculums in specific, or even these subjects specifically, and maybe more resources to cover those. But let's go ahead and get it started. Our main morning time curriculum that we will be covering is going to be, let me get it out, it's stuck. Okay, is morning time. Surprise, surprise. So it is called Morning Time. This is from Brighter Day Press, and it is 36 weeks of family discipleship and foundational learning. Topics that I wanted my children to cover, but I really didn't know where to start with some of these. And I tell you what, Brighter Day Press, this is where it's at. She's covered all the topics that I was like, yeah, my children should probably be exposed to these. This would be wonderful. And so she's done it. And I am so excited to do this. She has it broken down into 3 12-week terms, 36 weeks in all. 3 terms: creation, the fall, and redemption, our future hope. Those are her 3 terms. It is a 5-day schedule. She does make it clear that your workload's a little bit lighter on Friday, which is good because we usually do 4 good days and then 1 day a little bit lighter. She talks about Bible devotional readings, there is prayer prompts, scripture memory, hymn study, composer study. I mean, there's just so much. Artist study, poetry, read aloud suggestions, and there's just so much. You know, she talks about answering a lot of your questions. Where can you find the books? What are, you know, should we do the audio books? She has alternative or additional books that you can add in. It is wonderful. And so there's just a little glimpse of what this is going to be like. A little bit of, you can see in the flip through, kind of also just, I gave you a couple weeks of the grid of kind of the breakdown. Again, I don't know how long all of this will take. I don't know if we will do everything that she has, particularly the read alouds, just because we are doing sunlight. I am quite the overachiever, but I don't necessarily achieve it all. So while I did look to see if our library had the read alouds, I can't guarantee we'll do these. I will do a wrap up or potentially even some updates throughout this school year and just kind of let you know, what are we doing, what are we not doing, what's working, how long is this taking. Again, my kid is 4.5. So we just kind of do like, hey, if he really doesn't want to do something, I don't push it. Some days end up being lighter, and then we'll kind of pick up steam in a couple of days and try to kind of make up for what we didn't get done. Okay, so that is like our official morning time curriculum. I am very excited to do that. I will link her website below, and I will try to list the product as well. The other things we're going to be doing during morning time, and again, morning time, right? But we are going to do our Bible curriculum during this time. My son is 4.5. He does have very good understanding with the Bible. I have a passion for Christian theology. I've been studying Christian theology, systematic theology for the last 8 years. So obviously it is a passion of mine. My son, we have read so many books. We've read the Bible. He has a good foundation, I would say, for a 4.5-year-old. So for us, I was ready to get a Bible curriculum, and that's my printer. Don't worry about it. So the Bible curriculum I chose is more than words. Okay. I, again, feel very comfortable doing a curriculum with him, but I also feel very comfortable and okay with altering this to fit his age appropriateness. Now, you can see it's not bound just like my morning time. I did buy a binder. I will bind them myself. My binding machine, I just haven't gotten the coils yet. So, and it's actually a little bit easier to show you. But I ended up buying the PDF version of both of these. Okay, that's kind of a recurring thing for me, you'll notice. And what's great about this is the curriculum, more than words, it has coloring sheets. It has areas he can write. And so it's a curriculum that can grow with him, but it's also, I can reuse a lot of this curriculum. And the coloring pages, I can print one for my son. So for me, it was very beneficial to buy the PDF version of this. Now, it is a level 1. It is geared to higher than his age range, but we're going to make it work. And so this is by Rebecca Spooner. So she has a blog. She is the, the owner of Gather Round Curriculum. I have not done her curriculum yet, but this will be a good starting point. And so I looked at the contents of the, I looked at the contents alone, and I was sold on her breakdown of it for each week. You can see what they're going to cover. I also liked how she addressed these areas. Her approach to covering these: a journal entry, a talk about it, check it with the word, a key truth, character study, copy work. So you can see, hymn study, art. And so just looking at the contents, the table of contents, I was just sold on what she's covering each week and the method that she is using to cover it. The hymn study, art, word study, draw, color it, journal, quarterly reviews. And so I think she just has a really good approach to it. And I think it's a very simple curriculum to make it work for your child and your child's age. And we'll just see how long it takes, what works and what doesn't. So that'll be our Bible curriculum. As you can see, there is a lot of components in there that is very similar to our morning time, hymn studies, scripture and things like that. And so again, we're just going to flow with it see what works, and we'll go from there. And I will definitely keep you updated on, is it too much? Is it not enough? The other big component that we are adding to our morning time is going to be working. I'm trying to reach for it. It's out of my way. Is trying to really work on his calendar understanding as well as his name practice, name recognition, name spelling, name writing, and all of that really good stuff. So the one thing that I realized with my son is he kind of gets tired of things when it becomes redundant. And I agree. I'm the exact same way. So you'll notice I have a couple different ideas, a couple different versions, and I probably will end up doing a video just on different methods that we are going to be really working on his name recognition, name spelling. And so look for that video coming out soon. But just for a basic understanding, very simple, very easy. We will have his name tracing like this. And then I also did all capital letters as well. And I just made these in Canva. And then I just put them in these little, I don't even know what these are called, but you can use like dry erase markers on these. I think you can find these at the dollar store. I found these in the Target dollar spot. It's been a couple years, I'll be honest. And you can definitely find them on Amazon. I'll link some that are very similar. Dry erase markers on them, and you just keep using them over and over and over. I made a couple different versions just to keep it fresh for him. And we started this towards the end of our preschool term, is going to be practicing his name. So my son's name is Nehemiah, and it's obviously a long name. It's also a very difficult name for him. Learning to spell it and write it is going to be quite the journey. So I printed these on these from Ricky Tiki Art. I believe I'm saying that correct. I don't know. On Etsy. Some of the stuff was a bundle, some of it wasn't. So I will link what I can below. And I just laminated it all. I cut it. I did the Velcro so he can do this. What I was doing towards the end of his preschool term was I was writing the letters under here, and then he would find the letters and then put them on. So that worked. And I also have a second one, again, just to kind of keep it fresh so he can do the same thing up here. I'm probably going to write it down here, and then he will just match them up. It also has I am, and then you can fill in how old your child is. I think that's really important. My son gets asked how old he is more often than like any other question, and he still doesn't like get it right. So we're gonna work on that as well. As with the age, we're gonna work on my birthday. This is really gonna help him just to learn the month, the day, and the year, especially because we're gonna do a lot of focus on the calendar. I really wanted him to be able to know his birthday, so when we get to the month of his birthday, he'll be able to say, oh, it's the month of my birthday. You know, so he can start making kind of those correlations. And then of course it has I am X amount of years old. As you can see, you also get candles that you can put on the cake, and it's just another way of seeing the numbers, the number written out, the numerical number, but then also being able to assign items or quantities to that number. And like I said, I'll do a separate video on different ways we're going to practice his name building, and things like that. But then we're going to talk about the calendar. Calendar is really important for us. He was starting to get very interested in the calendar towards the end of his last term. So this again, Riki Tiki Art, Etsy, I'll link it below. This is a great way for him to have hands-on tactical learning. It's in front of him. He can put the month, the year, we can change out the season. There's a yesterday was, today is, tomorrow will be, so he can start kind of understanding the flow of the days of the week and the passage of time. He can also put the weather, and then I will also put a clip here. We also have a large calendar. It was actually given to us by a fellow family that it no longer needs it. And so we'll just kind of do a mixture of it. We'll have a big calendar, and then we'll have the little one he can do with the Velcro. And, you know, some days we may play catch up and put 4 or 5 days on the calendar, but it'll be great. And as you can see, it comes with lots of different weather. It comes with all the different seasons. It comes with a lot of different numbers and extra labels for different holidays, different religions. Should you choose to start exposing your child to Pi Day and Memorial Day and start putting those on the calendar, I think that'll be really exciting. And so there's also sheets for putting the days of the week and the months. So that'll just kind of be really nice for him to kind of start putting them in an order, but not necessarily, because I know that's a little bit more advanced for him. We also really enjoyed the spinny wheel last term, so we'll continue with this. And I love that it says yesterday was, today is, tomorrow will be, also the arrow. And we were doing this pretty much every day, so he could see as we turn the wheel, the passage. You know, today is, you know, Tuesday. Oh, so yesterday was Monday, and then when we turn it, it's like, oh, hey, Tuesday is now yesterday. And so that was just really good for him to understand, like, the passage of time. He really enjoyed that. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was our menu. So you hear a lot about morning menus, and I love seeing what people put in them. So this was from the Gentle and Classical Preschool. We did that last term. Absolutely loved it. She instigated the morning menu, and this is what some of these pages are from. Weather, season, temperature, days of the week, months. I will tell you, he got tired of it. I got tired of it, but what we can do is do it, you know, a couple times a week, just kind of start doing this. She also had other things in here, like whatever letter we were doing that day of the week and stuff. And so those are things I might incorporate. I'll probably do another video on that of how we're, you know, doing morning time. With that said, though, I will probably change out some of those morning menu pages with these. I believe I printed these off from Christian Book last year, so I don't know if they still have them. But check their website because they have some nice free downloads. I think they also had like a whole planner you can download. So I liked this one because it shows obviously the days of the week a little bit different than Gentle and Classical, where it was just kind of like a cluster. And so I really liked this one, how it was kind of laid out more in like a passage of time. But we'll probably use this one for the weather. And then there's also some tracing, so he can trace the days of the week. We're not quite there yet, but I printed those just to have the option. And I did forget to show you this. I printed this from the Etsy shop, Arrows and Applesauce. I believe I said that right. Yes, Arrows and Applesauce. I believe she hand draws all these herself. And we did this towards the end of last preschool term, just so he could start to see, again, the passage of seasons, that, hey, you know, we're in summer and now we're going into fall. And so he can just kind of see that instead of just on that calendar just ripping off summer. Oh, now it's the season of fall. Like, this is, again, just kind of more of that passage. And of course, both of my boys loved her drawings. So I will link that below too, if she still has it. I almost feel like she doesn't have it anymore, but we'll look. So that is our morning time. So now let's go ahead and get into the actual like official curriculum we're doing. Okay, so curriculum, and I want to use that very lightly again because he's 4.5 years old. Okay, so while I have bought this stuff, I have invested in it, I plan on using it, he's also 4.5 years old. And so so we'll be doing the More Than Words for his Bible curriculum, some other resources to add in for our Bible time. Now, we won't do these every single day, but we will have these on hand for when we choose to add them in. With the curriculum that I chose, we got some Bible stuff with those. I'll talk about that in just a second once I introduce our main curriculum, but I'll just finish going through some of the other extra Bible resources I bought. So the Bible that I chose to go through, I like to get, I don't want to say I get a new Bible every single time because that doesn't sound right, but I like to not just work through one storybook Bible for my kids. So my children know the Bible stories pretty well, and so this was just the one I decided to try this term, and we will see how this goes. So for his pre-kinder year, we'll do this. So the Word and Song Bible, I did get this off Thrift Books, and it was like hit or miss. I read in the comments of whether you would get the CD or not, so I didn't get the CD with it. So I'm going to see if I can find it. And honestly, if I don't find it, I'm not worried about it because, I mean, the illustrations in this alone are gorgeous. And I think that because the wording of the story is a little bit different than the other ones we've read, it's just going to be nice to have the story told, you know, different artwork, a little bit different writing, and just to again kind of plant those seeds of these stories in their minds. And I'm excited for that. And it does have some scripture in there, and then of course it does have these songs in here. And if I can find, I know they had some of the songs on YouTube, but not very many of them. And they didn't just have the song, like they actually had people reading the the story before the song, which was amazing. So I really am hoping I can find the CD, but we'll just see. And but yeah, I mean, you can just see how beautiful the illustrations are, and we are going to give that one a try, and I will follow up on how we enjoy that one. So then we are going to finish this Thoughts to Make Your Heart Sing, Sally Lloyd-Jones. So we started this actually for our summer term, and then we just ended up stopping like halfway during our little break for the last couple weeks. So we will pick that up and finish that, and I'm sure when we're done with that, I'll probably replace it with something else. Of course, we have a lot of read-alouds and a lot of other things to read, so I might not, but we will try to finish that. I also have this devotion. So I had 2 devotions that we used last term, his preschool term, and the one that we ended up doing, I'll try to put a picture in because I actually don't have it on hand right now, and I loved that one. It was absolutely perfect. It was simple for him at that time. It conveyed the truths in a way he could understand it, and it had a little bit of scripture, had a prayer, and I think it was wonderful for him. So this one, again, nothing against it. I just ended up choosing the other one because we only wanted to do one at a time. And this one, of course, is by the Little Blessings. Their illustrations are so adorable, and my kids, we have some of their other books, and they love looking at the pictures. And so this one, again, a little bit longer, but not bad. It still includes a Bible verse. It includes a prayer. This one is dated, and if I remember correctly, the other one wasn't dated. We don't necessarily follow the dates. We just start reading it. And so we are going to do this one. Again, we'll see if we end up doing it every day. We may not. We may do it once, twice, 4 times a week. I don't know. We'll see. Now, the other book I did pick up, and I'm not sure, I saw a review for it, and I thought, you know what? That seems like something we need to kind of just start introducing my son to, is what would Jesus do? He is kind of starting to ask questions like that, and there are certain ways he's acting out, and I think this is a good way to address it of, well, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus expect us to do? And so I think this is just going to be a really good conversation starter. Again, not sure how often we'll include this, but it is a resource that I wanted to include here. So the other thing we're going to do is our catechism. So I bought these catechism cards from Simply the Gospel. I believe it was Katie from Life at the Mundane, and I don't know which video she mentioned in, but it was a while ago, and I ended up saving her recommendation, and I was like, we need to do some catechism cards. We were doing catechism cards in his preschool term with the Gentle and Classical Preschool, and I loved it. And I was so thankful that she included that. That was honestly not something I really thought about doing until she had mentioned it. But I decided, you know what? Let's buy these. And so I just bought this little container from Amazon. I can link it below, and it works wonderful. And so there's three sets, and I went ahead and bought all 3 just because it was cheaper. I knew we were going to go through them, and you can see that they are divided 1 to 50 and so on, and it's very simple for a question, and then on the back there's an answer, and we will just I will say the question, he will repeat the question, I will say the answer, and he will repeat the answer. I haven't decided if we're going to just focus on one question for the entire week, or if we are going to do, 2 to 3 to 4, and then at the end of the week we will just review all of them. I'm not sure. We'll just kind of see how it works for him and how quickly he catches on, and we'll just continue rotating through those. So we're excited about those. The other thing we're going to do for Bible curriculum, we won't be doing these every single day, probably like 2 to 3 times a week. We are going to work through these throughout the year. And these are Montessori 3-part cards. I have them in bags. I actually made these. These are in my Etsy shop if you're interested in them. This is just a hands-on, tactical way that he can start learning the I am statements of Jesus, that he can start learning the miracles of Jesus, that he can start learning the days of creation, as well as the 10 Commandments. I think this is going to be a different approach to him learning these and understanding these and getting those hands busy. And we will do where he matches the picture with the picture, and then he'll, he can't read yet, but he'll go ahead and match the words with the words. And eventually he will start matching just the image with the wording. Once he starts to understand the cross, we'll go with I am the way, the truth, and the life. And then what's amazing about this is it will grow with him, and he will eventually match the picture with the wording, but also understanding the actual Bible verse. And the same thing with the commandments. He will start to learn, matching the picture with the wording, but then he can progress to that picture, and that wording goes with the first commandment, the second commandment. And the miracles, we are very excited about this, to plant these seeds in his heart that he can know, hey, that image goes with Jesus rose from the dead, and eventually progressing to Jesus rose from the dead. That was one of the miracles that he proclaimed his deity with, and it will go with a Bible verse. And those are little seeds he can plant in his heart. And the days of creation, of course, he's already very interested in those, so he'll be excited to have these 3-part cards. It's probably the ones we'll start with, and he will go through and match the picture with the wording, and eventually progressing to the third day goes with this image, and this is the description that goes with that. So we're very excited to implement those. Like I said, I made those. They're in my Etsy shop. I will link them below. I laminated them and cut them. Okay, so now we're going to get into the bulk of our curriculum. So I believe that whether you homeschool or not, I think all of those wonderful resources for Bible, are wonderful. Whether you're homeschooling your kids or not, I think it's important to include resources. Don't leave it up to your church. Don't leave it up to your pastor, the Sunday school. Don't leave it up to anyone. Take the responsibility, take that, and just sit down. Start somewhere. It doesn't even have to be this extensive of what I've included. There was a lot that I would have loved to do. Sometimes I'm like, am I doing enough? And just start somewhere. And you don't even have to buy a bunch of resources. Just go online, print off Bible verses, read the scripture, let it play from the audio. There's so much you can do. I think you just have to start. And so I plan on making more videos just to kind of describe wonderful resources that we can have to help teach our children the faith. So we have our morning time, or morning basket, whatever you want to call it, and the Bible curriculum we're going to use, and kind of our morning warm-up. And now we want to get into the actual curriculum. So the curriculum I decided to go with is Sunlight. Okay. What I've learned from the last year plus the summer before last fall was my son loves books. He loves to read books. He loves to learn through books. He's very interested. He has the patience to sit down and for me to read book after book after book. And he is even okay with me reading books that don't have pictures. Usually for those, he'll sit down and play a little bit, and that's exactly what your child should do at this age if you're going to do some sort of read aloud, is they can keep those hands busy. They're still listening. It's wonderful. So I decided to go with Sunlight. Let me grab the big binder. So there's the big blue binder. I went with Sunlight HBLP. And this is their pre-kinder, and it is for ages 4 to 5. So now with this choice, the pre-kinder HBLP, you can make the choice if you would like readers or not. Now, my son is not reading. I would say he's very interested in starting to read. So now I just made the decision to go ahead and add the readers. That is an option you can do. If you choose to add the readers, you are also going to add Language Arts K. And so if you go to their website, you can see the differences a little bit easier than what I can explain. So that's what I got from Sunlight HBLP for pre-kinder. They have HBLT, which is preschool. I just felt like he was past that, honestly. And he is 4.5, and he will be 5 during this. He will turn 5 in about 6 months. So I think this is wonderful for him and his age. And like I said, we're just going to go in and start doing the Language Arts K with the readers and just see. It may be totally over his head. And if it is, it's totally fine. We will push it to the side and we will start it when he's ready, even if that means next fall. Okay. So I will show a little bit of a overview of their instructor guides. You can actually request some samples of the instructor guides straight to your email. Sunlight is great with that. They will send you some samples. I did that just to verify, like, how much reading is this? How much am I going to be overwhelmed? And of course, when I saw the samples they sent me, I was like, I'm sold. Okay. And of course, I owe it all to Science Mama. She is the one who I had no idea about sunlight, and she's the one who planted that seed for me. And I was like, my kid loves books. We're doing literature-based curriculum. So shout out to her. I will link her channel below. She has so many wonderful sunlight videos. Their instructor guides are amazing. You can see that they are going to have Bible read alouds, pre-reading and writing, pre-math, science, and then of course they have an area of additional subjects. And so you can see all that is kind of included in 1 week. This is the 4-day sunlight. I believe they do 4 or 5 days, and you can choose, and I believe they do that as well for their language arts. I'm not sure if that's through all of their packages, but I went with the 4-day, and you can see how they kind of break it up. And I mean, it's just very descriptive. And then if you flip through the pages, I mean, it's thorough. They are going to hold your hand. They are going to tell you what to say, what to do. They're going to say how to explain things. They're going to give you tips. They're going to give you images for better description. Their instructor guides are phenomenal, and it is well worth it. And then I go ahead and took my language arts instructor guides as well, and I placed week 1 of the HBL and week 1 of language arts, and I put those together. So you can see that I also have the purple for week 1, and that is the language arts. So I just took both of those, put them together, and if you buy the sunlight binder with the dividers, I just took this, and I put this under week 1, so I have both of my instructor guides there. And again, the language art instructor guide is very similar, and just holding your hand, walking you through, and it's invaluable. It really is. It's wonderful. So sunlight will be our main curriculum that we will do, but there is a huge but. I have bought some other things just to try. Again, with such an early age, such an early grade even, things are more affordable than, say, in a few years where I might be like, wow, I really wonder if that curriculum was good. And instead of dishing out that more expensive money just to say, well, maybe this would work better, it's a little bit better, not for all curriculums, but now for me to buy some things and try and see what would work. So we're gonna do the sunlight language arts, we're going to do the sunlight HBL, but so I wanted to see if All About Reading would work. And we started doing All About Reading, pre-reading in the summer, and I have fallen in love with it. So while yes, I have the language arts for sunlight, I did buy the pre-reading, and I fell in love with it. And so we are about halfway. So we've got through all of the uppercase, and now we are on part 2, because there's 3 parts, and we are on part 2, the lowercase letters. And so my son knows his letters, he knows uppercase, he's fairly good with lowercase as well. The sounds he's almost got down, but again, I just didn't think he was there. I mean, he's 4.5 years old to start level 1. And so I have really enjoyed the hand holding that All About Reading does. I've really enjoyed how thorough their instructions are. Their guides are wonderful as well. And I've enjoyed the stories. It comes with 2 books. So we finished, I believe it was a zebra one. I actually don't have it here with me. We finished that book with part 1, and then it comes with Lizard Lou. And so I've enjoyed their stories. They're very simple, and my son has enjoyed them. They are in black and white. But I believe starting at level 1, their books are now color. So there's some crafts that went with this. You get a teacher manual, and then you also get the student workbook. You also grab the little cards. You do have to pull them apart, and then you can put them in divided with these little dividers. And so we have loved it. We have really enjoyed it. I did end up getting Ziggy. I heard some mixed reviews. My children actually love it. And I find that once we've done our reading, we've talked about it, we've done the alphabet, we've gone through the process, they're ready for Ziggy to come out. He doesn't come out in every lesson, but they're kind of ready. It kind of actually wraps their attention back in. Now, I think depending on the age, depending on your child, he could become a very big distraction. With my younger one, he kind of does. My younger one's 2 years old. So again, it's totally up to you. I don't even think you need Ziggy if you have one on hand, like a stuffed animal. You know, I don't even remember how much Ziggy was, but they like it, but I don't think you need to spend the money on Ziggy. So we are going to continue doing that. We might do, if I remember correctly, the pre-reading kind of leaves it up to you. You can do a letter a day, you can do a letter a week, do it your way. We, towards the end, started doing, I think I started with doing like 2 letters a week, and it was like, my son was like, let's go, Mom. Like, I know what the letter F is. Like, I don't need to spend 2 days on this. So we ended up towards the end of summer term, we were doing like 4 letters a week because we do 4 days of school. And so that's probably what we'll do with the lowercase letters unless he's really struggling. And we will get to part 3 pretty quick. So depending how fast we get through this, depending on where he is with his letter sounds and how well he knows those, I did buy All About Reading Level 1. So I did go ahead and buy it. And like I said, I fell in love with the pre-reading. So to me, it was not a waste of money. I bought it when they had their sale. They don't have sales very often. And so that's where I was like, I'm just going to buy it, because I love it. I can't imagine not loving it. It's very colorful. I don't have all the components. If that's something you guys would like to see, I can do a video on All About Reading pre-reading and All About Reading Level 1, and we can kind of show you the different stuff. I think it came with like 3 books, came with the cards, came with a bigger box. So that's my plan, is potentially doing that in the spring term if he's there. I don't want to rush it. Now, the other thing we started at summer term that we're going to continue is the My First School book. So we are going to continue doing this. It's very simple, very basic. It talks about shapes. It will talk about the letters. It has little images for them to color, frog, fish. You know, my son was circling the F in the words. It doesn't have a lot of directions, but I think that's what makes it kind of simple and easy, and you as the parent can kind of choose. It has kind of this, you know, pre-letter, learning just the lines and then applying the lines. So I think it does a really good job. It also covers numbers. And what we were doing is the letter I was going through for pre-reading, we would just match that with this letter. So he's almost done, honestly. And he just has like the numbers and some of the shapes we're going to go over. And then we'll be done with that book. The other thing that we were doing in the summer that we're going to continue is the, let's see, get ready for the code, get set for the code, and then go for the code. We are going to continue doing these. They do not include the vowels in them. And they have quite a few pictures. They have quite a few pages for each letter. They do, you know, like find the letters. They have the images with the letters. My son loved these pages where you have instructions that are describing some of the images and he has to figure out which image it's talking about. Now, what's great is for each letter, we would only do maybe 2 or 3 pages. And so now that we're going into lowercase letters, we can revisit these books and the letters, and he can do those last few phonics pages on that letter to kind of reinforce that. And these are wonderful. I've heard, I mean, so many homeschool mamas have, you know, sworn by these. They explode the code. And the early set is definitely worth your money. So the Sunlight Pre-Kinder package, it does come with early math. And we are going to do the early math. I kind of debated if I wanted to do it or not. What I'm going to do is each week when I look over prepare for the week to come and I look over all my lesson plans, my instructor guides, I will see what the math is and how we're going to do it. Last spring and the fall, we did a combination of Moffitt Girls Math for preschool with preschool math at home with Kate Snow. And we ended up finishing the preschool math at home. Kind of. I mean, we worked through the addition and subtraction, and I mean, he's not really there, but we kind of worked through that in the summer. And so we finished preschool math at home, you know, loosely. And like I said, we did the Moffitt Girls Math preschool in preschool term. So I wasn't quite sure what all the Sunlight pre-kinder math would go into. How repetitive is it going to be from what he has already done? So I went ahead and got the kindergarten Math with Confidence by Kate Snow. I got the instructor guide as well as the student workbook. You want to make sure you get both. The Preschool Math at Home is just one small book. This one now has the student workbook, and you want to get both. And her instructor guide, I read through this actually on the plane when we were going to Disney, and I'm obsessed. I think Kate Snow does a wonderful job of explaining math, not only to your children, but to you as a parent. And I love it. She has great, she's kind of a mix of Spiral as well as Mastery, I would say, and I don't really know what my son is, to be honest. So this works for us for right now, and I have never heard anybody say anything bad about Kate Snow's Math with Confidence, and so it just felt right. It has that tactical, hands-on component, but it also has, doing that workbook, and it also is very quick and easy lessons. I also like that the majority of the items you have on hand. You don't have to buy these ridiculous math kits separately. And she also has in the back of the instructor guide, she has the, Blackline Master, the shape blocks that you can go ahead and print off. She has play money. So even if you don't have those things on hand, she gives you the paper version in the back that you could cut out. And I just think that's such a wonderful thing that people should do more often. So we are going to do that. Like I said, we may just do a couple lessons and be like, this is way too advanced, and we'll just hold on to it for the spring term, the summer term, or even for next fall. I have a feeling we'll get through a good chunk of it, though, just where he's at. I don't want to lose what we've already gained in his math area. So the next thing I bought was, and I bought the PDF print version, and this is my printer's fault, so don't, this is not what the Good and the Beautiful cover page looks like, but I bought the doodles and pre-writing for littles. So originally this was kind of like his handwriting, because this is the Learning Without Tears, and I just, feel like he's kind of in between where he needs more, but he also needs to just work more on kind of his penmanship, just learning to trace the lines, follow the lines, and also starting to develop some of the letters. And since we're almost through this book, then I thought this is a great book. Now, this one does focus on numbers and shapes, and, it exposes your child to more. I mean, that's why it's called my first school book. But I felt like he wasn't ready for their next level of handwriting. So I thought this was the perfect in between. And so, like I said, I did the PDF print. So I own the rights to this, and now I can print this not only for my 4.5-year-old, but when my 2-year-old is ready to start, I can go and print more. If my son needs extra help on the page, on tracing lines or doing the letters, I just have to pop open the file and print some more, and I think that's great. You could even take those dry erase, folders that you slide pages in, and we can make it reusable that way. That would also be a very good way to save some money, is buying the PDF print and then just putting them each page in there. And just like my More Than Words and Morning Time, I plan to bind these. That's why they're not bound yet. So now if you remember, I said I bought the Sunlight HBLP. How many times have I said that in this video? And it did come with some Bible. So I showed you all the Bible resources I chose separately. These are the Bible resources that have come with the Sunlight package. And I will go ahead and let you know that I'm going to run through the books that I have for the Sunlight P if this is something you're interested in, or you can just fast forward because I do have a little bit more curriculum to show you. But I just wanted to show you the covers of these books and just kind of what comes in it. Of course, you can go to their website, pull up the pre-K package, and you can see all the books that are there. But I figured I would just show you guys really quickly. I have a couple that have some flip throughs. That was one of the things I really wanted when I was looking into this package was, well, I wish I could see inside these books. So I'll go ahead and give you just a quick run through some of these. The 101 favorite stories from the Bible, if it focuses. So this is the storybook Bible that they have chosen, and it's very simple. As you can see, you've got your story. It has a nice colorful image, and then it does have a section for parents and children. It has questions, so you can kind of start asking questions to see, do they know what they were just read about, what I read to them. And so I think this will be a great resource to use. And of course, in the instructor guide, Sunlight is going to tell you what to read, when to read, and how often to read. Now, I believe this was an optional add-on, and I did add it on. It's the Bible Sing-Along Collection, and it includes the Action Bible songs, the Bible songs, and the Sunday School songs. And I will say that many of these CDs by this company are on YouTube. So again, to save some money, you could just buy it there. You might even be able to thrift this CD. I went ahead and bought the CD just because we're going to be in the car 3 to 4 times a week. And that's a lot of time to be away from just doing school. And so that's a wonderful time that we can just pop the CD in and listen. So honestly, that's why I bought it. Otherwise, I would just play them off of YouTube. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and run through some of these books so you can kind of see what you're going to get with this pre-kinder package. And once again, and I plan on doing a video to kind of explain how I made Sunlight more affordable as a stay-at-home mom who lives off of one income, my husband's. So these were thrifted, and I will have in that video, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so the first one I grabbed was the Millie, Molly, and Mandy. And it talks about how these are a charmed generation of children in these 21 stories. Millie, Molly, Mandy, who always wears a pink and white striped dress. She has all kinds of adventures, both on her own and with her favorite friends, Billy Blunt and little friend Susie. And you can see it does have some images throughout, and when it does show her, she has her colored dress on, which is wonderful. Again, a lot of text, but this is going to get kids really starting to learn how to have a read aloud with very few images. The first 1,000 words in Spanish. So Sunlight Pre-Kinder package does include a Spanish as an additional subject. I did buy this book through Sunlight because I couldn't thrift it. Thrift Books didn't have it at the time. And the pages are gorgeous. They are adorable as well. There's a lot to look at. The words are there for you, and in the back they have the word if you want to look it up as just to go find what page it is on. They also are going to show you how to pronounce it. So if you look in the back, it's going to say wordless and it's going to say abajo, and then it shows you how to pronounce it. It also tells you what it is, a bottom, not a top. And so again, it holds your hand just very well, and we are very excited to start introducing kind of a second language into our home. So the next book we have is My First Picture Dictionary. Now, because I chose pre-kinder package with readers, this was one of the books that came with that because I chose that. So My First Picture Dictionary, as you can see, just like the first 1,000 words, it has a lot of colors, a lot of images, it has definitions in it, and again, just so many things for your child to be exposed to. You can't have enough dictionary books for your kids. Okay, then we have the People book. And this is going to be a wonderful book just to kind of show how we are all the same and yet how we are all different. And I just love this. I love how it's going to describe the different shapes, the different sizes, the different hair, the different cultures that we have. It's colorful images, lots of things to look at. We also have Eric Carle's Animals. And this one is going to include a lot of his, his trademark images, colorful collage designs to bring to life the animal poems from diverse sources as Shakespeare, Lewis Carroll, Rudyard Kipling, and so on. It has Bible verses in it, Japanese haikus, American Indian poems, and more. We are very excited for this. My kids actually are not huge Eric Carle fans. They have not been captivated by that yet, but we have read enough to know that I like it. So I'm excited for that book. And we also have Things That People Do. This is an Usborne book, and my son is definitely at that point of, well, what does a dentist do? What does a doctor do? Just very intrigued by that and latching on to what people do in very specific areas. And this book is going to go into well into depth by a job or a place, what they do. It has a lot of description on each page, and this book I am thrilled to do with him. He is going to love that. Okay, then we have Uncle Wiggily's Storybook, and it is a pretty thick book, and this one of course is just going to have good stories in it. It is black and white, lots of text. Again, the images don't have any color in them, and we will see how they like it. Okay, then we have the Lion Storyteller Bedtime Book. This one is very colorful. The stories are long as well, but you do have the colorful images to kind of break that up. Lots of stories that I have not heard of myself. And we have the Stories from Africa. And this one, again, has a lot of text, but the text takes up most of the page. It does have a little bit of images in it that are black and white. And again, these are all going to be brand new to me. I am excited to sit down and read with these. Okay, we also have Usborne's Stories from Around the World. I was actually really shocked when I got this book. I guess I expected it to be big and it was small, but doesn't matter. Very colorful, lots of stuff to look at. Here are from it, like when you turn to the page, it'll say Buried Treasure. This is a story from Italy. This is a story from Scandinavia. And I'm just excited to kind of expose my child not only to other cultures and languages, but also to stories that come from those countries or those groups of people. We also have New Toes for Tia, as well as The Gods Must Be Angry. Black and white with a little bit of color in the images. Just really quick reads, but also a lot of text to start to get to that heavier point of getting into chapter books. Now, some of these books are history as well. They're not just literature, but they do tie a lot of that history Bible literature in together. This one is a Then and Now. It is also an Usborne book. And this one is, again, I think time is such a complex, these stories and complex topic to explain to your children, and this will kind of ease them in of, well, years ago this is what the schoolroom looked like, and now it looks like this, and just how things change over time. We are working on that, so that'll be a wonderful story to help explain that. How to Dig a Hole to the Other Side of the World. We have that. Colorful images, not a ton of text. Definitely an adventure book. And then we have a few science books up next. Why do tigers have stripes? And What is Under the Sea? A lot of text in these books. That definitely caught me off guard when I first opened it. I love the illustrations, of course. A lot of the descriptions, though, are straight to the point. And that is what kind of sets Sunlight apart, is you're learning through literature-rich books and not just a textbook with a ton of text. And again, just a lot of colorful images to look at, heavy on the descriptions and text, but I think in a interesting way. Okay, and then we have the Year at Maple Hill Farm, make sure I say that right. And we actually rented this from our library, and this was in our curriculum last year for the Gentle and Classical Preschool, and I decided to go ahead and buy it just because we were so in love with this, and the illustrations are beautiful. Again, the changes of time, the seasons. We also have Is a Blue Whale the Biggest Thing There Is? And we also have What is Smaller Than a Pygmy Shrew? How Do You Lift a Lion? And so these are relatively long books, but they don't have a ton of text on them. I think it's enough to get your child's attention. Very colorful, fun images and illustrations for your child to look at. Just really fun way to start getting into science with your kids. And then we have the Berenstain Bears Big Science and Nature book. And I actually saw this recommended by somebody a while ago. It might have been Science Mama. I can't remember. I ended up buying this for our preschool term, I believe it was. And so I bought this even before I was settled on Sunlight. My son had this in his room for months and would look at it every single day. We would read from it every single day. And I love in the opening how it talks about Happy New Year, it talks about the calendar, it talks about the seasons, the weather, and it's a fun way to talk about these topics that sometimes can be very abstract to teach a child. And so to have it in a book format is fun. And then it does go into some early science concepts as well, again, in a fun way with, of course, the Berenstain Bear characters. Highly recommend this book. Highly, highly recommend it. And we also have the Children's Book of Virtues. And so this is just a really nice way to kind of introduce your child to, courage and perseverance, responsibility, work, and self-discipline. Sometimes it's hard to find storybooks or just even a way to bring up these kind of discussions to teach your child, maybe in a non-confrontational way. And so compassion, faith, honest, loyalty, friendship, it's just going to be a nice way to sit down and have a reasonable conversation through a book. And so we are excited for that, to do that. That would be a wonderful book to include in your morning time, even if you don't do Sunlight. And then we have a child's book of art, The Great Pictures and First Words. This book, again, enormous, but just wonderful way to expose your child to art. We did the Gentle and Classical Preschool. Again, how many times have I said that already? We did that. We did not do the art component that she included. And I was actually very sad at the end of the term that we didn't do this. And so I'm so glad that not only is our morning time from the Brighter Day Press going to include a little bit of art, but that Sunlight includes it too. And you can see just the pictures are gorgeous. They are printed very large for your child to see, to kind of have conversations about just being exposed to that early art. Okay, so because I chose the readers, this is the readers that it came with. So Fun Tales. And again, even if we get to this and I'm like, wow, no, my son is definitely not ready for this, and I just jumped the gun, so to speak, on buying the readers attached to this Sunlight Pre-Kinder, these are wonderful to have. You can't have enough readers when your child is learning. And these are just very simple. They're in order, and they're very simple, but they're also small on his size, so they're good for his little hands. These are just going to give him wonderful confidence, a little bit of a boost when he first starts to read these. And we're excited. So even if we end up not using them right now, we will continue to use these readers once he is able to start doing the, but we will end up using these once he's able to do the level K language arts. So they were pricey, I would say that, but again, it goes with the curriculum. I think it was a good buy. We also got this, and I believe this was optional as well, and it is Tall Tales, and it says, in this collection, American Legends, you will laugh out loud as you meet Paul Bunyan, taller than trees and mightier than the rivers, Johnny Appleseed, whose gentle generosity makes him a beloved legend, Pecos Bill, whose outrageous Texas-sized exploits make him the greatest of all cowboys, and Jim's original tale of the West. So again, I just went ahead and added it in. I have no idea if this was on YouTube. I actually did not check for this one. But again, if I do a wrap-up or I do a mid-year update, I will let you know how this is going. Was it worth the extra money? And we will do that. Now, this was definitely optional, and they're called Developing the Early Learner. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. They go in order. And once again, I had no idea what to expect from these. I didn't know what they were going to cover. Was my child already past this? And you know what? Once I got these, I started flipping through them, and I was like, you know what? I think this is important. I think this is going to be very beneficial to him and to me. Just concepts that honestly you just don't really think to, like, I don't want to say test your child on, but just to kind of see where he's at with things like this. And so Again, I'll have a little flip through. We will definitely go through this though, and I will let you know where we're at on that mid-year update or the end of the year wrap up, and I'll let you know how beneficial these were and just a little bit more in depth about them, because I haven't actually even read the opening. I just kind of glanced through it and I was like, okay, yeah, definitely not what I thought, but in a good way. So I did buy those, and those were optional. Now, if you chose to not do the readers for the pre-kinder package, they did recommend Dr. Seuss's ABC book, and we have a lot of Dr. Seuss, not gonna lie, but we did not have this one. We actually had like the shortened version of this, and so I went ahead and picked it up because I thought it's probably a good one to have. And this is something I would have just got from our library just to sit down and read, and our library is very small. So I will say that's the only reason why I'm not renting it from our library, because we live in a very small town, and even if you put them on the wait list. So again, just really going through those letters, saying the words that with that sound of what the letter makes. Again, I don't think you can have enough books or enough resources to really ingrain that. Okay, so then the last bit of curriculum that I wanted to talk about is, you could call them unit studies or just holiday homeschooling. I actually don't really know what you would call these, so tell me what you would call them. But we did these last year and we loved them. So like I said, we did the Gentle and Classical Preschool. I went ahead and bought her Gentle and Classical Autumn, Gentle and Classical Christmas. You can see a little bit loved Christmas, and then the He is Risen, Gentle and Classical as well. I will link all of hers below. Very affordable, especially if you print them yourself. I love her curriculum. She does a great job, and it includes memory statement cards. I can kind of show you those here. Memory statement cards, Bible verses, even some facts. She just does a wonderful job. She includes handicrafts. And again, this is additional curriculum, or some homeschool families choose to take a couple weeks around autumn off for like a fall break. And then some families who are Christians will take some time to really study Advent and then Lent as well. And so this was just a fun addition. We didn't do everything in this, and we definitely did not do all the handicrafts, but the ones we did, we loved. The stories, she has awesome literature picks, and I think it is well worth the time to do a little bit extra, even though it's very busy, especially around Christmas and Easter. I think it's a fun addition if you can if you can make the time to do it. And again, just do as much as you want, as little as you want, and that's what we did. So I do plan on incorporating these again this year. I'm excited. I think my second son, who is now 2, will really enjoy being a little bit more hands-on with the handicrafts, and we won't feel like we have to rush. I think he'll definitely be able to be more part of it. I think he'll enjoy the literature books and the songs, of course. So that is kind of our additional curriculum that we are going to do. It's a lot. Like I said, I hate to call it curriculum. He's 4.5 years old, but it is curriculum. And I did spend the money on this. We do plan on doing this. But again, because he's 4.5 years old, I'm going to follow his lead. And if he says, Mama, I'm done, I don't want to do anymore, I'm not going to pull his teeth. I'm not going to force him to do any of this. It's not that important. And what I have found worked even last year for our preschool term is, if he only wanted to do a little bit on Monday and then Tuesday he was in a better mood, or sometimes he would say, Mama, let's do more school, or I don't want to be done with school. I know, amazing, right? Didn't happen very often, but when he did, then we would just kind of do a little extra, and that would take a lot of stress off of me. And I just know that there are days he's willing to do more than he is on other days, and I just feed into that, and we'll do a little bit more or a little bit less, and that's fine. So this is what we're doing. Like I said, I plan on doing doing a good sunlight walkthrough of how I saved money for sunlight. I'm going to go into a little bit more of the resources that I did and didn't buy. I plan on doing that video, and it'll be coming up, so watch for that. Make sure you're subscribed and give this video a like. It lets me know that you enjoy these kinds of videos. You want me to keep doing these kinds of videos, and it also lets me know you want me to continue putting more videos out. So leave any comments below if there's anything you want to know more about. I will try to link what I can below. All right, guys, it was wonderful to sit down and chat with you. These are my favorite type of videos. I love to watch them, and this was a lot of fun to do. And let me know what you're doing down below, whatever age your children are, or maybe you're wanting to homeschool and you've already looked into options. Let me know what you're planning on doing, because that's how I get ideas, is from what other people say that they're doing. Also, let me know if any of this did not work for you guys and what you did or did not like. All right, I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.